Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing today? It is currently 2:23 p.m. on this cloudy, chilly, windy Monday afternoon. I actually don't even know what the temperature is. Let's see. The temperature is currently, let's see, hold on a second, pulling up the Weather Channel. It is currently 63 degrees outside, and it looks like the highest it's going to get today is about 67 degrees. It was supposed to be, I think, 70 or something today. It says the highest it's supposed to get today is 68. And then tomorrow, 70. It looks like full rain. Considerable cloudiness, occasional rain showers in the afternoon. And then Wednesday is 75, partly cloudy. And then Thursday, 85, generally sunny despite a few afternoon clouds. So by Thursday, we'll be back up into the summer weather again. And then it's nice for the weekend, and then Sunday it dips back into the 70s, 79, and then all next week, oh, it's into the 90s. So it goes, it's like 87, Tuesday's 85, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 87, Saturday, 88, and then Sunday is 90, and then Monday is 91. So summer weather coming to Indiana. And I'm vlogging early because, well, I was actually out here and I was doing a few cameos, finishing up a few cameos for people, and I had gotten a text from my husband this morning that he was supposed to get a package between 1 and 3, and he was like, can you please make sure that you don't miss it, because I have to sign for it, apparently. And so sometimes I don't hear when the alarm, or not the alarm, but when the doorbell goes off. Sometimes I don't hear it inside. So I thought, well, I'll just sit out here and I'll drink some coffee from 1 to 3. My plan was actually to listen to my audiobook. But I was sitting out here and I finished a cameo and I thought, well, why don't I just vlog right now? And then I can just vlog while I'm waiting for this package, to sign for this package. And then, yeah, so then I can do like a little bit of a longer vlog. I have a feeling it probably will not come between 1 and 3. You know, whenever packages are supposed to arrive between a certain time, they're always like an hour after that, which is whatever. But I want to make sure that I don't miss it, because I know that he is excited about getting this package. So I just thought I would sit out here and I would vlog and talk to you guys. And I'm actually not sure if I'm going to film any other videos today. If I do, I might just film like a Peterisms or a Peter Does Stuff video or something like that. I'm just kind of feeling like relaxing today and listening to my audiobook and hopefully finishing my audiobook today, and then maybe watching some shows tonight. We watched RuPaul's Drag Race last night. Was that last night that we watched it? Yeah, we watched RuPaul's Drag Race last night and RuPaul's Drag Race Untucked last night. And then he went to bed and I stayed up, and I was trying to watch From. So I have From to watch tonight, the second episode, or the newest episode of from season 2. I was trying to watch it last night, but something was down with, so I watched it on cable, and something was down with the cable, so I couldn't pull it up. And then finally, right before I was going to bed, it like showed up, and I was like, well, it's a little bit late now, I want to go to bed. So instead, I continued to watch the show on Peacock called Based on a True Story, which is like an 8-part comedy that is about this couple that wants to start this true crime podcast. I'm not really sure. So I finished the whole thing last night. I was like on halfway through the second episode, and I just finished watching the whole thing last night. I'm not really sure what I think about it. I don't know that I wouldn't recommend it to people, but I don't know that I would recommend it to people either. Like, I already did recommend it to Mel, and I told Mel that she should watch it because it was an interesting concept, and it was kind of like us because we love true crime podcasts and stuff like that. But at the same time, well, I was kind of like, so this is something that always irritates me about shows, is when they don't have a conclusive ending, because you don't know if they're going to get renewed again or not, which I'll probably say that, and then a bunch of people will say, well, it already got renewed, so I don't even know if it got renewed or not. But it doesn't end on a conclusive ending, and in fact, it doesn't even really, like, every episode kind of, like, ends on a cliffhanger, and, the whole show, I wouldn't even say it ends on like a cliffhanger. It just kind of ends on like a non-conclusive ending, and I thought it would be like more tied together at the end, because I got a lot of comments from people that were like, oh, I love this show is so great, blah blah blah. I will say that the characters are fantastic. So it's that Kaylee Cuoco, and I think that's how you pronounce her name, and Chris Messina play the couple that are starting the podcast, and they're really, really good in it. And it's a lot about, like, marriage problems and, like, keeping the passion alive and being in love with each other and, like, the things you do for each other when you're in a relationship and stuff like that. So it's a lot about marriage as well. It's not just about this true crime podcast. And each episode's only, like, I think I looked, and it's, like, 22 minutes. It's not even, like, a full half an hour. It was interesting enough that it kept me watching from episode to episode, but I felt like when I got done with it, I was kind of like just thinking about it, and I was like, I feel like it could have been so much more. Like there was something that for me felt like there was kind of like left out of it. I would have much preferred if they would have made it 10 episodes instead of 8, and they would have tied it up conclusively at the end. I don't know, maybe other people feel like it was conclusively tied up at the end. I didn't feel it that way at all. I felt like it was kind of left in the middle of like, okay, so like several things happen at the end that you're going to have to wait for the next season to find out like what happens with it. And I don't love shows like that. Like I love when you can watch a season and then it kind of like ends and then you go into the next season, you know? It's like I don't mind if there's cliffhangers, if that makes sense, like at the end of a season, that make you like want to watch the next season of the show. Poker Face did that, but Poker Face also kind of like conclusively ended that season. So you could just watch that season. If you never watch any more of it, that would be completely fine. With this one, if you wanted answers to the things that you had watched go down through the entire season, you would have to watch the next season to find out what had happened. So I was kind of over that a little bit, but I watched that, and so tonight I'm going to watch, well, we'll probably watch Real Housewives of Atlanta, which apparently there's a lot of controversy around today because they apparently did some flashback to season 4, and they showed like, you know, where they are all holding the peach, and they like took Nene Leakes out of it. I don't know if you guys know this, but like Nene Leakes is like suing Bravo and whatever, and so they apparently like took her out of the picture, and there was like all of this drama surrounding it today, which I'm sure is probably the most exciting thing. But I feel like the Housewives, like Tanya and I were talking about this the other day, like the Housewives, when you would watch it back in the day, like the whole entire episode was so exciting, and there was, I mean, throughout the episode there was a lot that happened, but now it's like they'll kind of feed like one thing that's going to happen through the whole episode. Like they'll show it before each commercial, and they'll be like coming up, and then they'll show like some fight that's going to happen or whatever, and then it only happens in the last 2 to 3 minutes of the episode as like the credits are running, and then it goes into next week. But then when next week starts, it doesn't start with that. It starts like the day after, and so then they like flash back to what happened, and so they never really show any of the exciting stuff. I don't know why they did that. Salt Lake City did that. Atlanta did that. Atlanta is doing that. Beverly Hills did that. And so I don't know why they're doing this new way of doing it, but unless they just don't feel like the storylines are super exciting, and so they have to like carry it out that way to get people to keep on watching. Although I will say, I thought Orange County, the first episode of Orange County, which Tamra Judge is back in that. Tamra Judge? I can't remember what her last name is. I think it's Tamra Judge. Anyway, she's back in that. And Vicki Gunvalson like makes an appearance. They show that in the trailer, and but other than that, it's like the main people that have been on it for the last couple years. I actually thought the first episode was really good. I was impressed with it. It like made me want to keep watching Orange County, which I've been a fan of Orange County for a long time. So it's probably one of my favorite cities of the franchise to watch. Alex's favorite is probably Beverly Hills, and then the next for both of us is probably Atlanta, with like a close third being Salt Lake City. I want to go back and watch New Jersey, and I want to go back and watch Potomac. Those are the two ones I really want to watch. And then New York either started or is getting ready to start the new, like with the whole new cast. And so I'll probably be watching that as well and just kind of giving it a try and seeing what I think. I watched Dallas with Alex. Alex watched Real Housewives of Dallas, and I watched that like only when he would watch it. But like I knew enough of the characters from watching it with him. And then what other seasons were there? I'm trying to think. Oh, Miami. I've watched quite a few of the Miami. I've watched the reunions of Miami, and I've watched quite a few of the episodes. So, what else is there? I'm trying to think of the other cities. Yeah, I think that's it. That are in the United States. Oh, Dubai. We watched Dubai, too. I don't know if Dubai got renewed or not. I have no idea if it's coming back on. I haven't really seen any mention of that. I guess I could Google search all this stuff and look it up. But so that's what I watched last night. It was cold out here, and so I had on my heated vest, and I drank one of my lemonades, which was just subpar. It was okay. The show was good. Like, the show was, like, good enough to keep me, like, watching. It just wasn't super, super exciting. I thought it would be, like, so much more. I feel like it's kind of getting hyped up. I kind of love when you find a show that's, like, not super hyped up, and then you go to watch it, and you're really surprised because, like, not a lot of people are talking about it, or maybe a couple people have mentioned it to you, and then you watch it and you're like, oh my god, this show is so good. Like, you can't stop thinking about it. You know, like, that's the kind of show that I love to watch. So, I'm actually watching quite a few shows. I've added a bunch of shows to my list. I'm watching, well, Fear the Walking Dead is my #1 show that I have to get back to watching, and then High Desert, which I've already watched this week, Below Deck, Mediterranean Season 5, I haven't watched that in a long time, or Fear the Walking Dead, Real Housewives of Atlanta, From Season 2, RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars, Shiny Happy People, about the Duggars and about that IBLP religion, The Idol, which I don't know that I'm going to keep watching that or not. Tanya was asking me what I thought about it. It's just like, I see people talk negatively about it online all the time. Like, it's getting like really, really bad reviews. And I didn't think it was that horrible. I really didn't. I mean, people are so surprised by like the dialogue and the smoking cigarettes and the sex and all this kind of stuff, and how provocative the show is. And I'm like, well, that's kind of the whole idea of the show. Like, did you not get that from watching the trailer? Like, the show's supposed to be like that, right? Like, if you're offended by that, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Go watch Little House on the Prairie. But like, I mean, The Idol's not supposed to be Little House on the Prairie. The Idol's supposed to be about a pop singer that is like trying to kind of like hide part of her personality, and she's really kind of like this wild child that has gone through a lot of trauma. So I don't know though, like, I mean, the first episode I liked, but it was very slow. So like I was telling Tanya, I'm gonna watch like the second, maybe the third episode, and if I'm like more into it, then I'll continue to watch it. But it's a show that Alex and I, like, he's watching it, so I'll watch it with him. And then a Jury Duty, because so many of you have recommended that to me. I put it on my list of TV shows I'm watching, but I haven't started that. And then Grace and Frankie, I think I have like 4 or 5 episodes left to watch. And then I have 46 shows on my next list. But I mean, some of these are so old. I put some of these on here like literally like a year ago. Like The Flight Attendant, Ozark, The Serpent, Outer Range on Prime, Squid Game, The Servant, Archive 81. I started watching the Archive 81. I didn't love it. Beanie Mania, that's a documentary. You. I started watching You. I didn't love it. Station 11, the movie Looking for Alaska. Well, I guess it's like a 4-part series based on the John, maybe it's 3 parts, I don't know, based on the John Green book. Stay Close on Netflix. Big Little Lies, 2nd season. I never watched it. One of Us is Lying. Alex and I started that. We never finished it. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Okay, so I started watching this a while ago because I was like, I really want a good thriller to watch, something like Pretty Little Liars. And Alex was like, you need to go and watch I Know What You Did Last Summer. And I started watching it, and I so could not get into it. I thought it was so boring. Scream, which I did watch originally when it came out, like the first couple episodes. Anatomy of a Scandal, For All Mankind on Apple TV, Surface on Apple TV, P-Valley on Amazon Prime. My hairstylist watches that. She loves it. She's like, you gotta watch it. The Wilds, Behind Her Eyes, Impeachment. Alex and I started watching. We watched like the first 2 episodes. It was actually really good. Keep Breathing. Search Party on, I don't even know what some of these things are, on HBO, Glitch, You Don't Know Me, Moonhaven on AMC, The Girl from Plainville, Last Light on Peacock, The Chestnut Man on Netflix, Succession on HBO, War of the Worlds. There's like a whole War of the Worlds. It's like 2 seasons. Did you guys know that? I did not know that. Heartbreak High, In the Dark, Abbott Elementary, which gets so many accolades. The Real Bling Ring, I think it's a documentary. Girl in the Shed is a movie. The Sinner, seasons 2 and 3 I haven't watched yet. Walking Dead, starting with season 7 because that's where I left off. The Midnight Club, 28 Days Haunted, Yellowstone, Dark, Three Pines on Amazon, and the George and Tammy documentary on Showtime, which, to be honest with you, I really have no interest in watching whatsoever, but Tanya said that she loved it, so I might watch that. So those are my TV shows. And then, like I said, I want to get, I want to finish How to Sell a Haunted House today. Like, that's my goal, is to finish that. And I would really like to finish that and then start another book. I'd really like to start the last Jana DeLeon Misfortune novel that I have. That's on Audible. I don't think her most recent one she's put up on Audible yet. So I have, like, the last one, and then I'm completely caught up on all the Misfortune books. And then after I read that, I'm going to read Shady Hollow, and then I'm just going to start picking books that look fun for me to read for the month of June. And I have to make a video announcing what our July book is going to be, and then I have to pick a July book for Peter's Book Club. So I don't know what I'm going to do for that yet. But anyway, yeah, so I watched that show last night. I went to bed, like, really late. I went to bed, I think it was like after 4 o'clock, and I tossed and turned for a while. I ended up going downstairs and taking a melatonin, but I don't know that I think it really helped, to be really honest with you, because I came back upstairs and I tossed and turned, and when I looked at the clock, it had been like an hour. It's supposed to, like, you're supposed to just lay there, and it's supposed to, like, calm you down and take effect in like a half an hour, but it had been like an hour, and I was still, like, tossing and turning and tossing and turning, and I finally fell asleep, but I don't really know when I fell asleep, so yeah. Hopefully tonight I get a little bit better rest. Update on Tanya Jean. Her leg is doing much better. She has been resting a lot and icing it and like propping it up, and her, like, knee is doing much better, so she's really happy about that. She was kind of down in the dumps. She was like, you know, like, she was saying that she hasn't even been to the pool yet this summer, and she hasn't done this and whatever, and she's like, and then I had all these opportunities to go to the pool, and then my knee was hurting, and then she was like, and then now the weather's getting colder again, and I was like, sweetie, honey, there's going to be, sweetie, honey, there's going to be a lot of really nice days in the summer yet to enjoy at the pool, so don't get down in the dumps about that. And, I keep on from my neighbors across the street. So we had these, Tanya had it, I think I talked about this on here. Tanya had it, and it was like this, like, tube thing that kind of, like, goes like this, and then it has netting underneath it, and you kind of, like, sit in it like this. And they really liked mine, and we have, like, a blue and white striped one. I thought I bought 2 of them, but I guess I only have 1 of them. And then I bought these big plastic, like, noodles, but they're huge, they're, like, this thick. I don't love those as much, though. I wish I hadn't got those. I was real excited when they came, I think it was last summer, but then they're kind of like a lot of work to hold on to in the pool, and I don't love them. I know that sounds silly, but I just don't. So anyway, so when we were at the pool with them last couple weekends ago, they like they were like, oh my god, I really like those. We need to get on Amazon. They were like, where'd you get them? I said, I got them on Amazon. And they're like, oh, we need to get on Amazon and order them. And I don't think that they have. And so I wanted to surprise them, and I wanted to buy them 2 of them. And I said, well, what color would you get? And he said red and white. And she was like, oh, because he's a huge IU fan. Those are IU colors, Indiana University colors, red and white. And so I wanted to surprise them and get them 2 of them. And I keep on meaning to get on Amazon and do that. And I keep on forgetting to do that. So maybe I'll do that today. It's a little bit where the sun just kind of came out a little bit. And the wind like died down a little bit. Look how pretty my neighborhood is. You can see the sun's a little bit out right now. It's 3:15 now. I knew this delivery wouldn't be here by 3 o'clock. I mean, not that I really care. But I just don't want to go inside and then, like, miss it, you know? I can't tell you how many times I've been sitting outside here. And, like, I've sat out here for, like, an hour, like, in the past, like, watching a show or talking on the phone or something like that, right? And then I like literally go inside for 5 minutes, and when I come back, and I didn't hear the doorbell or anybody knock on the door or anything, and when I come back, there's like a FedEx thing on the door that says like, we missed you. And I'm like, how did I possibly miss you? Like, I was outside all of this time. So I want to make sure that I don't miss it for Alex. Anyway, and then I don't know what I'm going to do for dinner tonight. I'm kind of a little embarrassed to admit this, but I think I'm kind of coming to the end of my piata. Piata is not sounding as great to me on a daily basis as it was before. Like, it still sounds good to me, and I still love piata, but this is what I always do. Like, I eat something until I can't eat it anymore. Do any of you do that out there? Like, I did it with the Jets Pizza, and I did it with Subway, and I've done it with other things in the past, and I think I'm doing it with piata. I mean, I've done piata literally like, oh wait, is this it? Oh no, this is Amazon. It's not from Amazon. That's coming. I have literally eaten piata every day for like the last 3.5, 4 weeks. Like every single day. And I've had like the same thing from piata like every single day. And so, I mean, there's only so many options of things that you can have. And they have like 2 spicy pastas, and I don't want the spicy pasta. And then they have a couple of their sandwiches have meat in them, like that are like a BLT. So if I don't get the bacon in it, it's just lettuce and tomato, and I don't want that. So there's only like really like 4 things other than salads that I can order. And I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm not as hungry for piata. I'm kind of embarrassed to admit it. I don't know what I'm going to do if I stop going down the piata train. I'm going to have to find something else to eat. Tanya was laughing at me. Because she was saying that this mutual friend of ours that we have, and her brother-in-law that since passed, she's like, you are just like them. Like, they would like eat something until they couldn't eat it anymore, and then they were like done with it. And she's like, you've always been like that. And I have. Like, I've always been like that. Like, I get something and I get so excited about it. Like the egg salad sandwiches from the gas station. Like, I was eating those like left and right. Like, you guys, you could not force me to eat an egg salad sandwich from the gas station right now. I mean, there are certain things that just do not sound good to me at all. Like pizza, like Alex made pizza rolls and like pizza and stuff like that, like again last night I think, and like the idea of it, the concept of it sounds good. Like if he said like, do you want to order pizza, like that would sound good. But if I really started thinking about it, and like when the pizza came, like I don't know that I could actually do it. Like it doesn't, like it wouldn't look good to me. And like when he made his pizza, like he was showing me these little mini pizzas that he made in the air fryer, and I just was like, those do not look good to me at all. Like, I need something like fresh. Like, that does not look delicious to me at all. There is nothing appealing about that pizza to me. And it's just like really greasy food. It doesn't look that good to me, or doesn't seem appealing to me whatsoever. So I don't know. And then I think because the few times that I did, like, I mean, I haven't gotten sick, and I don't even know the last time that I like was like vomiting and got sick. But I think I still kind of like internally have that fear a little bit. And a couple times I did get like side salads from things that I would order. And that was when the doctors had told me to be really careful about eating like a lot of roughage, like lettuce. And so I think to some degree I'm still kind of like, is this my neighbor coming home? I think it is. I am still kind of like nervous a little bit about like eating like full salads and whatever, even though they sound good to me. Like, I think it makes me nervous that I'm going to end up like ultimately like throwing it up. It is my neighbor. And so I'm like real careful about that, when I probably could eat like a pizza, or I could eat a salad, or even a pizza, you know, and be completely fine. The other thing I have to tell you that I've had the craving for recently, which is so strange, because it's not like, my cousin Caroline said she could eat it every single day, but it's not something that I typically crave very often, is Mexican food. Like, I have been craving like a bean chimichanga. Like, I don't know why that sounds so good to me, but see, like, it sounds good, but then when I think about like really eating it, it's like I don't know that I really could, because of the greasy factor of it, you know? So, and even just right now, like thinking of like queso and chips, or salsa and chips, like that doesn't, like, chips don't even sound good to me, you know? So I don't know. And candy, like, I've really kind of stopped like eating candy and stuff like that. And like, I noticed like doing my review videos, like I did, oh, that's another video I guess I could do today. Somebody sent me a bunch of these like cauliflower chips. They sent me like a huge box of like 5 different flavors or 6 different flavors. I could try those, but like when I've done a couple reviews of like snack food, and I did like the Pringles versus the Takis, which I ended up telling Alex that he could have all of them because I didn't want any of them. I really struggled, like, even just eating more than like 2 of those Pringles for the review. Like, I wasn't that hungry for it. It just really didn't sound that. Who is she talking to across the street? It really didn't sound that good to me. And that's part of one of the reasons why I haven't done the crumble cookie reviews. Like, people have been asking me why I haven't been doing them. And, you know, Caroline will say, like, do you need to run and get something for a review? And I always think I should do the crumble cookies. But, like, to be honest, like, even just sit down and eat a bite of 5 or 6 cookies, like, even just one bite, which isn't really that much, right? Like, it doesn't sound that good to me at all. So her little dog is so cute. She's got this little Scotty dog, this little black Scotty dog, and he's 13 too, because we talk about he and Boo Radley being the same age, and she's always like, we just hope that they live forever. And he's so sweet, he's so cute. She's real nice. She lives outside of her neighborhood, and it's so funny because she was walking by, and I know her from walking by because she'll like stop and talk to me sometimes. She's usually with her friend. She's with her friend today. And I think I shared this story in here, but like one day Caroline was dropping me off and she was walking by, and so I introduced her. I said, oh, this is my cousin Caroline. And she kind of like looked at her and she said, what's your last name? And Caroline said her last name, her married name, and she goes, oh, or something like that. And she goes, Caroline said, my maiden name is, and I grew up like one street over. And she goes, do you not remember you used to babysit for me? And Caroline was like, what? And she was like, you used to babysit for me. And she and this other person, like, they had traded houses. It was so crazy. And so she had been Caroline's neighbor, like, growing up, like when Caroline was like in middle school and stuff like that. And Caroline's like, oh my God, it's so good to see you. I just love this neighborhood so much. I just think people are so friendly and so nice. I know I say it a lot. I'm sure it just, like, people are so sick of hearing me say it, but I really do love this neighborhood. I know people really want to see me do a tour. Well, somebody commented actually on the vlog and said which vlog. So if you want to know which vlog where I go across the street and show the garden, somebody commented on it. Somebody asked which vlog it was, and then somebody commented and said which vlog it is. But I'm going to do the tour of the garden across the street. But I want to wait until she tells me, like, the perennials are blooming, come over here, do it today. Like, I want to wait till then, because, like, and today's not, like, super sunny. I want to do it on a day that's, like, really pretty to, like, show the vibrancy of the colors and things like that. And And it's not just all flowers. I mean, she's got like a lot of greenery and stuff like that. She has this stuff that's really pretty that's like lavender, but she's got a lot of like really pretty like bushes and greenery, like I said, and plants. It's not just all like flowers and stuff. So, and this year more than last year, she has more greenery than she has flowers, which I think is really pretty. There's like a lot of this fluffy stuff floating around, but I did take my allergy medicine today, so I feel like it's working a little bit. Hopefully it stopped. I can't believe I have vlogged for half an hour already. Okay, I'm going to read some of the comments because I did ask you guys if you had questions yesterday to give me some questions about some things. So I want to see what comments people left. Frankie said, I love that name, Frankie, said, this Midwest weather is very fall-like weather. I love your videos, Peter. You are very comforting. Oh, thank you so much. Jen said, rain can be so relaxing. I took my niece to walk with me in my work periods in the Indy Pride Parade Saturday and Sunday. I started rewatching one of my all-time favorite shows, Vicious. It's so good. If you haven't seen it, you simply must. I've never even heard of Vicious. Stacy said, I love hearing you talk about the little things like flavored versus black coffee. I love those types of combos with good friends. Oh, that's nice to hear. I like that. Okay, so now I know I can just talk about those simple things and people enjoy that. Stacy said, we finally hit 60 on Monday mid-morning. I'm loving this cozy vlog. Oh my God. I have no idea where Stacy... So Stacy's a part of the True Crime Book Club. I have no idea where she lives, but I can't believe that you're just hitting 60 now. Or maybe you meant like it was hotter and it just got cooler. I don't know. Shaylin said, I'm an avid reader and have only ever DNF'd one book. Even if it sucks, I just can't quit. I'm the same way. Like, I really struggle, like I said, with DNFing books and just stopping it. I just can't do it. If I could, I would stop with this How to Sell a Haunted House. Jasmine said, this was a great vlog. I love when you get into reflections of your past and allow yourself to be extra vulnerable. Aww. Diane said, your vlog hit me especially well today because of the rain background. Hey, how are you? She was like waving like crazy. And she's not somebody that typically does, so it's kind of sweet. Okay, AKA Constantine said, question. I have a family member who just went into detox before going to rehab. Was there anything that was said or done in your first few weeks that made a big impact? Thank you for always telling your story. Through your stories, you've given me the language and ways to help understand and help. Okay, good question. So yes, but I don't know that the answer that I'm going to give is going to be super helpful. So when I went into treatment, my dad was very much in control of everything, and he kind of like just cut off like all communication with me and the outside. He called my friends and he said, if you really care about Peter, don't take his calls because he will manipulate you to come and get him, and he really needs to be in the hospital. So I would call my friends and they would say, your dad has told me not to talk to you. That was pretty powerful because what I realized was I was screwed. It was between me and my dad and God, basically. I was stuck, right? Like, and I could either do what my dad was asking me to do by stay and get sober, or I was completely all on my own. And I think that my dad had enabled me for so long. The other thing is that my doctor, when I went into treatment, my addictionologist was really good friends with my dad. And so I think that by the time I went into treatment, like my dad sat down with him like over several days and talked to him. And like my dad was really willing to listen to what he had to say and do what he told him to do. And my dad was just done. My dad was super, super angry. And this is the part where I say like, I don't know that this will be real relatable, but like, cause you know, we talk about like love and compassion and all this kind of stuff, but it was important for me to see how angry my dad was. It was important for me to see how disappointed he was. And it wasn't that he was going to give up on me, cause it didn't feel that way. It felt, I mean, he wasn't going to give up on me unless I gave up on myself, if that made sense. Like when he said to me, you know, if you start using again, leave your keys on the counter of your apartment and just leave. Like, you're done. We're done, right? But that was like, if I gave up, he was going to give up. And then my neighbor was like walking out here to see if there's mail. Checking on those plants? He's checking on his plants. He's like so into his like front yard now, which does look beautiful. Like they had all this stuff done, and he's always constantly checking on it. I think it was important for me to understand, and like I was sharing the other day with the book Beautiful Boy, like I didn't even really fully grasp it until years and years later. But it was really important for me to understand like how directly I had affected people in my life. And through my dad being angry and hurt, like I got that pretty quickly. To the extent that he was really angry and really hurt, no, I did not understand that. But did I understand that, like, ooh, he's not happy with me? Yes, I got that. I think had I been approached, and like I said, this is just me, this is just my experience, strength, and hope, and this is just my story. I think at that time, had I been approached with, I love you so much, we're going to do everything we can to get you better, blah, 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 whatever. I think as a manipulative addict at that time that just wanted out of treatment and just wanted to do his own thing, I think I would have completely manipulated that situation. And so I really had to realize that this was a gift that they were giving me by helping me get into treatment, and that if I didn't want it, then I didn't have to take it, but then I was on my own, and they were done with me. And that my mom was going to be done with me, and that because they had talked to her, and that my friends were going to be done with me. And so I felt very, very alone in that moment. But what that also forced me to do was made me realize that it was really ultimately up to me. And I'm sure that this is not helping. I'm not telling you to turn your back on your loved ones and things like that. Like I would never tell anybody to give up on somebody. Like I think you should always have hope for that person. But I think to be honest with that person and say, I'm very angry, I feel very used, I feel disappointed in you, like you have really manipulated me, blah, 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 whatever. I think it's fair to share your emotions. I think a lot of family members and friends are afraid to do that because they're afraid of how that person's going to act out. And that's where I say, you can't get somebody sober and you can't get them drunk by what you say. If you expressing your feelings of anger, disappointment, just not being able to grasp the situation and everything that's happened causes somebody to go back out and start using, first of all, you're not responsible for that, okay? Like if I go back out and I pick up, I can't blame that on anybody else. Like that's on me, right? And like the saying, like we say, but I can't get somebody drunk and I can't keep them sober. I do think it's important for us to know as addicts and alcoholics, like where our family and friends stand, you know? That's not to say that you can't say, I love you, but I'm really angry. Or I love you and I'm going to continue to support you emotionally through this, but I'm not giving you money anymore. And I'm not going to support this. And if you come home drunk, you're gone, you're out, you know? I had a friend of mine, and like, you know, a lot of people will say, I think a lot of people think like with Al-Anon and things like that, which is a 12-step program for friends and family members of alcoholics and addicts, that like if you start going or you start hearing about a solution, that then that means you have to like kick your spouse out or something, like if they're drinking or using or whatever, right? And she used to tell me this story, and she had been going for like 20 years, and she had told me this story about how she would keep this packed bag like on the back door, like hung on the back door, a packed bag for him. And you know, he would have 3 months sober or 4 months sober, her husband. They're still married to this day. And I think he's been sober for a little while, but and by a little while I mean a couple years. But he would have 3 or 4 months sober, and then he would relapse, and she'd say, you need to go, right? Like, you leave. But she never divorced him, and that was her choice. She chose to stay with him, you know? She didn't want to split up the family. She didn't want to lose her husband. But she didn't want to continue to endure what she was going through. So when he was on his binges or he was drinking or he was using, he was not allowed to be home. That was the boundary that she set for herself. And he was fully aware of that. And she stuck to that, you know? And when he was sober and he was doing what he needed to be doing, he was allowed to be home, you know? And they went to marriage counseling. They did all kinds of stuff. And I think it's a powerful story because I think that often when we talk about setting limits and boundaries or whatever, we think that that means that ultimately we have to have like end all conversations or end all communication or all contact or all interactions with that person. That's not necessarily the case. But it does mean that you can stop enabling that person, and you can let them know emotionally how you feel and how you've been affected by it, you know? Like, my dad was really hurt. He felt taken advantage of. He was angry, and he was disappointed, and he had every right to be that way. And I needed to know that at that time. I needed to know, because my mom always brought it back to her. Like, I didn't talk to my mom a lot when I was in treatment, but, you know, whenever I would talk to my mom in those early days about stuff, like even when I got out of treatment, she would always make it about herself. She'd always be like, well, is this because of this? Is this because I did that? Is this because of this? I mean, she always wanted to make it about herself, you know, and basically give me excuses for why I did the things that I did. So I think that what my dad did by cutting off all communication between me and the outside world while I was in treatment, made me focus on what I needed to focus on, which was being in treatment. And there were a few people that I talked to, but not many. And I remember this one friend that I used to talk to, and I had dated this guy that was just, he was not, I actually referenced him in a video the other day that I was doing on my Peter Monn channel, because he was just not a good guy. And he was somebody that had gotten me started using cocaine, and that's not why he wasn't a good guy. It wasn't, I mean, I could have said no. I don't put that on him, but he just wasn't a good person, and he was verbally abusive to me and not a nice person, and really, it was a really unhealthy relationship. And I said in my video the other day that he would say things to me that are still in my mind to this day. Like, one of the things that he said was, we were going down an escalator, and he and his friend were standing behind me, and they were making fun of how bottom heavy I was. And I was at the time like 140, 145 pounds. 5'10", 140. I mean, I was emaciated, and they were making fun of like how big my butt was. And I still hear that today, you know? And so, but anyway, I was like obsessed with him. It was such an unhealthy relationship, and we had broken up before I ever got into treatment, and he was dating somebody else. And I remember I would call and like talk to my friends and like constantly want to know, like, did you see him? Was he here? Was he there? Blah, 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 whatever. And this was like in my first few days of like coming out of detox and going into the rehab part of treatment. And my counselor came out, and she heard me on the phone one time, and she hung up the phone. Like, I was on this payphone, and she just hung it up. And I was like, what are you doing? She's like, we're done. We're not doing this anymore. I needed people to take strong stances with me, you know? When I went into group one day, and she said, let's talk about your marijuana use, and I said, I'm not here for that. She said, well, how much marijuana did you smoke? And I said, oh, I don't know, a lot, you know? You know, I was smoking a lot of pot, you know? I think I threw out some, I mean, we didn't use grams back in the day when I was smoking weed, but I think I threw out some, like, amount of, like, I mean, it was constant that I was rolling joints and smoking them throughout the day like cigarettes. I think I said something like a half ounce, and she looked at me like I was crazy or something like that, you know? And I was like, but that's not a problem. Everybody smokes pot. And she was like, what do you mean everybody smokes pot? And I was like, everybody smokes pot. It's not a problem. And she was like, well, until you're ready to discuss your marijuana problem, she was like, don't come back to group. And I was like, excuse me? And she was like, I was like, no, I'm just here for like the alcohol and the cocaine. I'm not here to talk about marijuana. And she was like, well, until you're ready to talk about the marijuana, don't come back to group. And I was like, did I just get kicked out of group? Like, seriously? And so yeah, so I can remember just like getting up and walking out of group and like going to her office later and being like, are you serious about this? I can't remember even how it went down at this point, but she's still a friend of mine to this day. I'm so thankful for her. I always call her on my sobriety birthday and thank her, because she was, and I think about this, it's so funny now, because like at the time, you know, she was like, I was 22 and a half, and she had just gotten out of her master's degree, and she was like 25 or something, you know, and she was just a few years older than me, and I looked at her as if she was like 35, you know, and she was so hardcore on me. She was so tough on me, and like I really needed it. And I'll never forget, like years later, she and I went out to lunch or something, because like we've remained friends all these years, and And I said, because then I ended up working at the same treatment facility with her, and so we became co-workers, and then we became friends and whatever. And I can remember saying to her and something about me being in treatment, and she goes, it's never the ones you think are going to make it. And I go, so you didn't think I was going to make it? She goes, oh, absolutely not. I never thought you were going to make it. She goes, you were so sarcastic and so, snarky. She didn't use that word, but she was like, you were so sarcastic and so like full of yourself, and you just thought that you had all the answers. And she was like, no, I never in a million years would have ever guessed that you would have made it. And I really think, had it not been for like my dad just being so hardcore, and I remember doing this contract, this like behavior contract or whatever, rules contract, when I was getting out of treatment. It was like, you will go to aftercare, once a week. You will go to therapy twice a week. You'll have a sponsor. I can call your sponsor whenever I want. I was all these things, right? And I had done these before. Like, this was nothing new. I mean, these behavior rule contracts are like, everybody in treatment does them. And I had done them before. And at the bottom, there was like nowhere to sign it. And I remember looking at my dad and being like, because I was with him and the doctor, and I said, where do I sign this? And my dad goes, you don't sign it. And I go, well, what do you mean? And he goes, you don't sign it. If you don't do it, he was like, get the F out of the house, get the F out of the apartment, leave your keys on the counter, I'm done. He's like, we're not joking this time. I'm done. I'm not paying for any more treatments, no college, I'm done. Like, you're on your own. You go figure it out. And I really, really needed that. And I think, my fear of being homeless and my inability to take care of myself is really a huge part of my bottom that I was so afraid of. And then in working in treatment and starting to pay my own bills and take care of myself, it was really me gaining some self-worth and realizing, that I could take care of myself and all this kind of stuff. And, it's interesting because through the years on especially on my vlog, I've gotten a lot of people that have been like, oh, well, Peter's a trust fund baby. And I wish I was a trust fund baby. Trust. I do. If I was a trust fund baby, I don't even know that what I would be doing. I might just be sitting here all day long binge watching shows left and right for 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 hours a day. But, my dad and I had a conversation because he helped out a lot with my bills, before I got sober. And then after that, and I had a conversation with my dad, and I said, my sponsor and I had been working on it, and I said, for me to have a relationship with you, I can't accept money from you anymore. And I knew that my life was going to look vastly different because, I was making, I think, $7.12 an hour or something. Like, my paychecks were like $400 every 2 weeks or something like that. It was ridiculous. I made more money dealing drugs, and I was not a good drug dealer. And my dad said, okay. And there's been 2 instances since then, in 28 years, that he has financially helped me out. And one was the week that my mom passed away that I couldn't work. And the other one was another situation I don't even really remember. And in both situations, I paid him back. So, in 28 years, I've taken no financial assistance from my father. No, I am not a trust fund kid. I don't, if my dad passes away tomorrow, I don't know that I'm even going to be left anything or whatever, which I'm completely fine with. It's his money. It's his, I would rather have a relationship with my dad today built on sincerity and being genuine than it ever being about money. And it was about money back then, and I'm so grateful that my sponsor suggested having that conversation with him. And I'm really, really grateful for that, but I think that my fear of being homeless at that time and my fear of not being able to take care of myself was a huge part of why I got sober, because I was like, I don't think I can do this on my own. I don't know how to do this on my own, And then, and so I think that the importance of setting limits and boundaries is important too. Maybe not day one when somebody goes into detox, but 4, 5, 6 days to start discussing the limits and boundaries that you're going to set. I think that's really important. And I think that it was important for me to also then, get a job, and then I went back to school, and then I was working full-time, and I was in school full-time, and I realized I could do it. And I'm kind of today, I'm somebody that Like, I really pushed myself hard. And I think that was the time period. Like, I think I always had it in me. And I think I do get that from my dad, because my dad's very similar to that. I just don't know that I had the opportunities to express it, if that makes sense. So I'm grateful for that, you know. I'm really, really grateful for that. And but those are the things that I would suggest. I would suggest being honest with that person. You don't have to be harsh about it. You don't have to be nasty about it. But you have every right to share how you feel about what's going on. And I would recommend that. I think that we, as addicts and alcoholics, need to hear how we have affected other people. Okay, let's see what other people have to say. Amber said, I also think the Haunted House book was a slow burn. Reading it 30 minutes at a time would definitely make it less enjoyable. I don't hardly ever DNF a book either, but I will put it down and come back to it weeks later if I need to. P.S. If you don't read Shady Hollow soon, we can't be friends anymore. No, I'm going to read it. Well, I'm going to read the Janet De Leon book to get me kind of like back into the swing of things, and then I'm going to read the Shady Hollow book. Or should I read the Shady Hollow book next? I might just read the Shady Hollow book next. I don't know. I've been waiting forever to read it. I hope I can come on this vlog tomorrow and be like, okay, I finished the How to Sell a Haunted House. I just hope, I just need to take, this is what I need to do, is I just need to not beat myself up today and just take the day off and be like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to come back to filming videos, and then I just need to sit out here. I need to make a hot pot of coffee because it's cold, and I need to just sit out here and just listen to this damn book and get this book done. That's what I need to do, is just get this all done. Oh my god, I've like vlogged for like 51 minutes. I can't believe it. My battery's at the halfway mark, so if I decide to vlog for a little bit longer, I might have to go inside and get another battery. Kayla is so good about commenting. She always comments. When I was a kid, my family always brought the patio cushions in or somewhere protected before the rain so they wouldn't get wet. I think, not sure, but guessing this was why. Maybe they can get molded, mildew inside, and stinky if they get wet a lot. So on the back patio, Alex bought that plastic, well, not plastic, but I guess it is plastic, kind of like bin container that we store all the cushions in, because in Indiana it is so bizarre. It's like it's sunny 2 days and then it's like downpour, torrential rain pour the next day, you know. And so on the back patio, typically what we do in the summer is we put the cushions out, but then we take them back up at the end of the day and we put them all in there because you don't know if it's going to rain. Out here, it doesn't really ever, like it really takes a strong storm for these cushions to get that soaked. And that hasn't really happened. So, except for that one time that it happened and I came out here and it was like, I mean, literally, my neighbors were coming over here and sitting in that chair. I mean, it was like a week later and I was like, that chair's still wet. So and they were like, oh, we don't care. And then they would sit in it and they'd be like, oh, my butt's wet. I'm like, yeah, I told you it was wet. Speaking of, I don't know why, I just made me think of this, but talking about Alex. So I was telling Alex about the stevia root beer, stevia cream soda, and the Starry that I have in the fridge that I don't want anymore. Did I tell you guys about this? And I was like, I don't know what to do about it because I don't think any of my neighbors want it, and I don't know when, you know, Valerie's going to be home next and things like that. And I don't even think those are the flavors that she likes. And so I was saying that to him and I said, do you think people at your work, because he has kind of like a big work environment, I said, do you think that they would like it? I mean, I literally have like 30 cans of this stuff. He's like, yeah, just package it all up and I'll take it to work. He's like, they'll drink it. They'll love that there's like free soda there. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to package all that stuff up and he's going to take it to work. Mrs. B said, hey Peter, so I'd be interested to hear how you broach the subject of your sobriety with your past boyfriends and Alex. Did you worry that you would be rejected because you were sober, and were all of them understanding and supportive straight away, or did that take work too? Well, this could be an entire video, just all of its own, to be honest with you. So since I've been sober, I have had 3 partners. I've had my first boyfriend that I was with for about 4.5 years. And I started dating him at about a year sober. Well, the guy that I dated right out of treatment, and then the other guy that passed away, but I wouldn't consider them like long-term boyfriends. Like, the guy that I started dating at about a year, he was like my first long-term boyfriend, and we lived together and things like that. And then my ex, we were together about 6.5 years, and then Alex. Anybody in my life that I meet, I'm very vocal about being sober and being in recovery. Like, it's not like, hi, I'm Peter, I'm an alcoholic and addict in recovery. Like, that's not how it is. But, like, somehow it seems to come out very soon in the conversation. Depending on, I mean, and to be honest with you, I don't really meet that many new people. And if I do, it's typically through meetings or things like that. Or, like, it'll be through Alex. It'll be like a coworker of Alex's or a new friend of his or something like that. And if we're going out to dinner, typically he's already said to them, like, Peter doesn't drink. You know, he's been sober for 28 years or something like that. So I don't really need to say that to them. But with guys that I dated, since I've been sober, no, I never really had an issue with them. Okay, so with the first guy that I dated, that I don't really consider, like, I mean, he was a boyfriend, but I didn't really consider him that. He was so supportive because he was the only person that was calling and checking on me in treatment, and my friend was telling me that. Or he was calling her and checking on me while I was in treatment, and that was real appealing to me. But that ended up being disastrous. And the next guy that I dated, I actually met in a film studies class, and he has since passed away, and I always thought that he would be like the love of my life. I thought his name was Todd, and he was the person that I thought, I actually have a picture of him in my phone, because years ago, I should show a picture of him. I could find him just to show him some justice, because years ago, I was at a friend's house, and I was telling her the story about how he and I... Oh, here he is. I'm going to take his picture off of here, or his name off of here, so you guys can see him. But this is Todd. His eyebrow pierced, which is funny. But anyway, she and I were sitting around. This is a friend of mine that, there's a better picture of them. But, we were talking about, like, lost loves and stuff like that, and I was telling her, we were sitting around drinking coffee at her house one night. This was a friend of mine that I had when I first started coming back into the rooms. And, I was talking about him, and I said that there was this guy that I had dated. He ended up wanting to transfer to IU from IUPUI, which is where we went to school. And now the talking about he was supportive of my recovery, but he smoked a hell of a lot of pot, and I think he got into harder stuff later. But he smoked a lot. I mean, I know he got into harder stuff later. It was kind of why I figured out I could never really be with him. But he smoked a lot of pot, and it really affected us dating, because, like, he would say, oh, I'm going to show up at, like, 5 o'clock, and he'd show up at, like, 7:30, and it just really irritated me. And so that was a big part of kind of, like, the downfall of us dating. But I really loved him, and he really loved me, and it was kind of, like, meant to be love relationship. And it was weird, because years after that, like, we would meet up, or not meet up, but, like, we would run into each other somewhere. Like, I can remember we ran into this thrift store, and I was with my first boyfriend at that time, and he was with some friends, and it was kind of like, oh my God, like, what do I do? Like, I wanted to be with him so bad, and it never worked out. Like, whenever I was single, he was with somebody and whatever, and then he ended up dying. Like, I was talking to my friend about this. We were at her house drinking coffee, and I was like, let me show you a picture of him, like, blah, 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 whatever, and he lives in San Francisco today, and all this kind of stuff. I was telling her the whole story about him, and I looked him up, and I started looking through his Facebook, and there were all these people that were like, I miss you so much, and whatever, and it had been like a year or two. Like, it had been a while since he had passed, and so... But the messages were very cryptic, and I didn't know anything about it, and so I reached out to this one girl whose name looked kind of familiar to me, and I was like, I don't know if you remember me, or if my name sounds familiar, but, like, I dated, you know, Todd back when, you know, we were in our early 20s and whatever, and, like, I really cared a lot about him, and I didn't know that he had passed away, like, what happened? And she was like, oh, he talked about you all the time, like, he talked about you always, and and his family had decided to not put an obituary in the paper, and they had decided to not have a funeral for him. They had basically kind of disowned him when he had came out as being gay, which I remembered was a huge issue when he and I dated. They like wanted nothing to do with him when he came out and was gay and stuff like that. And so they basically disowned him, even though he was living with them at the end, apparently. And because he had nowhere else to live, and he was very, very sick. And so they didn't have a funeral for him. They didn't put in an obituary. There was nothing, and it just really breaks my heart. And he was such a good, caring person. So he was, but his smoking pot really affected us dating. With my first boyfriend that I dated, not at all. And in fact, like, none of my boyfriends drinking has ever bothered me. Like, I think I was actually just talking to Alex. It stopped. I was just talking to Alex about this the other day because he has a friend of his that's dating somebody in recovery, and they were saying something about it. And I said, you know, Alex, I said, there's a lot of people, it just kind of depends on the person. There's a lot of people who have been sober for 40 years and their spouses do not drink at all, like, and they don't have any alcohol in their home. And then there's people that have been sober for 40 years and they have full bars in their house. It just depends on the person. It doesn't bother me if my husband drinks or if he has, you know, a glass of wine in the house or whatever, right? Tawny Jean, her husband drinks. Like, that doesn't bother her, she, you know, whatsoever. And people, you know, drink when they come to barbecues at her house and whatever. She just doesn't want it rampantly in her home. Like, she doesn't care if there's a bottle of wine or a 6-pack of beer in the fridge in the garage, but she doesn't want it rampant. She and I are very similar on that, right? And so we were talking about that, and like with my first boyfriend, like, I had only been sober a year, and he and I were pretty social with our roommate at the time, and my friend that lives in Berlin, and we would go out, and now she wouldn't drink until the end of us living together. She started drinking a little bit, but he would drink, and it didn't really ever bother me. He didn't get like blitzed or anything like that. And then with my ex, he was very intrigued about the whole world of recovery, and he was very close friends with a lot of my recovery people and things like that, and he asked a lot of questions and whatever. And so he was very interested in all of that. And he had drank before we got together, and then, like, as soon as we started dating, he stopped drinking. Like we would go out, and he would always have, like, a Diet Coke or something like that. He would, like, never drink. Now, as soon as we broke up, he started drinking again and was throwing up pictures on Facebook of going to Jimmy Buffett concert, holding big drinks up and stuff like that. So I don't know what all that's about, but more power to him. Okay, I mean, he's not an alcoholic, so he can drink if he wants to drink. With Alex, Alex really took interest in recovery. And I mean, he met my recovery friends right away and things like that. That was also at a point when I wasn't going to meetings and I wasn't active in a recovery program. So when I came back into the rooms, and that became like a vital part to me, Alex was very confused as to why. I mean, he didn't put it down or anything like that, but he was very confused as to why that was something that was important to me. Like, he didn't understand, because he hadn't seen it for 4 years of our relationship, why all of a sudden, like, I was like gasping for air and needed to get back into the rooms of recovery, right? And so I actually reached out. But he had never seen me drink. He had never, like, my mom was gone. He had never heard the stories. He had never heard us talk recovery. I mean, basically all he heard was, like, Tanya and I and our other friends, like, talking about meetings and stuff. Like that was his extent of understanding it, right? So it was really kind of unfair to him, because he really, like, I mean, my dad would tell some stories and whatever, and Alex would be like, oh, okay, that, you know, but, like, he couldn't click it together that that's who Peter was, if that made sense. My dad has this picture, well, I have the picture now, but it's of me asleep, like passed out on his couch in his basement, and he put up this like sign on me. It was like a folder that he wrote, my dad wrote, "Success waiting to happen," and he put it on me. And like, he would show that to Alex, and he'd be like, this was who Peter was. Like, he would come over here and he would like pass out in our basement, like eat food, do laundry, like, I mean, he just was, you know, whatever. And we were always worried about him and everything like that. But I don't think Alex ever really like conceptualized exactly what it was like. Okay, the battery's gonna die, so I'm gonna go change the battery really quick. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. So anyway, I don't think that, I can't believe that I went through that battery already. It usually lasts for about an hour and 10 minutes, but it just lasts for like an hour and 3 minutes. I think I've been using these batteries for over an hour or over a year now, so maybe I need to get new batteries, I don't know. But I don't know that Alex really conceptualized or understood the depth of why I needed to be sober. Like, he had never really been around a lot of people that have been in recovery until he met me. And so I reached out to quite a few people that I used to use with back in the day that were not necessarily addicts or alcoholics, but they had been witness to me and kind of like my downfall and why I needed to be in sobriety. And basically I said to them, you know, like, my husband doesn't, or my boyfriend doesn't really understand this, and can you explain to him whatever, like, do you think that I need to be sober today? And it was like, I mean, I reached out to a lot of people, and that had been close friends of mine back in the day. And I'd say, I don't know, 20 people or something. I don't even know how many people, maybe more than that, responded. And some of them were just a paragraph or a few sentences, and some of them were like full pages. Have been like, we were so worried about Peter, and Peter was, you know, like, would just, I mean, on and on and on. And so that was the point where Alex really started understanding, like, I think through other people's stories, like, really how bad it was for me back in the day. And that was where he really took an interest in learning about the basic text, learning about the language of recovery, learning about steps, learning about things like that. And he gets it today. I mean, he really gets it today. But I think that was a pivotal point. So yeah. So I think that's a good question. But I was never afraid of rejection. I think I've always had the attitude that my recovery comes first and it's a priority in my life. I mean, it's primary to everything in my life, right? Like, if I'm not sober, then I don't have anything else in my life. So if somebody doesn't accept me for being a sober person, like, this is even today in my life as far as, like, people that I meet and whatever, if somebody is disrespectful to me about my sobriety, or somebody doesn't, if somebody doesn't understand and they ask questions, I think that's fair, right? Like, and I have no problem, like, educating people in that and talking about that. But if somebody's disrespectful to me, or they say nasty things about it, which, I mean, I can't even remember the last time that happened to me. I mean, other than, like, comments on YouTube or whatever, but, like, in my real, like, personal life, like, no, that never happens to me where somebody's, like, super disrespectful to me, to my face. I can't remember the last time that happened, but if that did, they wouldn't be in my life. Like, it's too much of a priority to me that I wouldn't have somebody that was disrespectful to me or rejected me as a result of my recovery. So they wouldn't be in my life today if that were the case. Okay. Let's see some of the other comments. Mallory said, oh my God, Peter, the rain sounds absolutely magical. I love her profile picture, by the way, Mallory. Lovely week to you, Alex and Mr. Boo. And Leslie said, you will never know how much your blogs have helped me the past week. It has been a rough several days. You make me feel like I'm sitting in the porch chatting with you. I should go sit on my porch, but yours is more comfy. LOL. Oh, Leslie, I hope your week gets better, sweetie. Julie put blue hearts. Another Julie said, Peter, it's an older series, but did you watch Murder Mountain? I watched it this weekend and I thought it was good. I hit the table and the camera fell over, so I had to stop it for a second. But anyway, so I wanted to look up Murder Mountain. Hold on just a second. Watch Murder Mountain on Netflix. Oh, you know what? I did watch this like years and years and years ago. This is about the legal marijuana business in Humboldt County, California. When did this come out? Because I feel like I watched this like years ago. 2018. Yeah, I did watch this. I watched this a long time ago. I don't remember loving it. Okay, let's read some other questions. Mrs. B said, this made me laugh out loud, Peter. I can remember going to see There's Something About Mary at the cinema, and I spoke to my father-in-law when we got home. When we told him what we had gone to see, he said, well, it couldn't have been that good if you can't remember the title of the film. That was in reference to me talking about the show that I was just talking about earlier called Based on a True Story, and Tanya didn't understand it. So, Kristen said 90210 was between 1990 and 2000. Thank you. Andy said, I understand that you don't want to DNF a book, but it's hindering you from reading other books. Wouldn't it make sense to just DNF it and move on in order to read something you actually like? Absolutely 100%. I totally 100% agree with you. Unfortunately, I don't know what it is. I don't know what the blockage is or the obstacle that is keeping me from DNFing this damn book. I really do not know what it is. I don't know if it's partly because I picked it for Peter's book club, and so I feel like I should read it. I don't know if it's because it's a Grady Hendrix book, and I love his books, and so I'm thinking it's going to, like, maybe magically turn around at the end. Somebody commented and said, oh, the ending is beautiful, so I thought, okay, well, maybe I'm holding on just for the ending. My friend Nikki, also, who's in the book club, in the True Crime Book Club, she also really wants to know what I think about the book. So I think I'm partly reading it just for Nikki to, like, have an opinion about it so we can talk about it. I don't know. I just need to finish the damn book to shut up and stop talking about it is what I need to do. Jojo said, I'm starting a cozy series by Lee Perry, A Skeleton in the Family. It's highly rated. I finished a thriller family drama called Girls and Their Horses. It was excellent, but now I feel like I'm in a slump. And Alicia said, I love that series by Lee Perry. Hope you enjoy it and that it brings you out of your slump. Okay, I'm going to screenshot that. I'm going to go look at it up on Audible. We're going to look it up and see. Lee Perry. The Skeleton Stuffs a Stocking. Which book is this, though? How do we know which book is which one? Oh, that's book 6. We don't want book 6. See if I put in book 1, what comes up. A Skeleton in the Family. Family Skeleton Mysteries, book 1. Let's read about it. Okay. Most families have skeletons in their closet. Okay, this will give you truly what a cozy mystery is about, because I can tell. It's like, I can just tell from the picture. The picture is like a fireplace, and there's a cat, and there's like a chair, and all this kind of stuff. Most families have skeletons in their closet. Moving back into her parents' house with her teenage daughter had not been Georgia Thackeray's plan A, but when she got a job at the local college, it seemed a sensible thing to do, so she settled in and began reconnecting with old friends, including Sid. Sid is the Thackeray family skeleton. I feel like I've heard of this before. He's lived in the house as long as Georgia can remember, although no one, including Sid, knows exactly where he came from and how he came to be a skeleton. Sid walks, he talks, he makes bad jokes, he tries to keep Georgia's dog from considering him a snack, and he manages to persuade Georgia to let him leave the house. But when she takes him to an anime convention disguised as a skeleton, of course, he sees a woman who triggers memories of his past. Now he is determined to find out how he died, with George's help, but their investigation may uncover a killer who's still alive and well and bad to the bone. How long is it? 7 hours and 57 minutes. Oh, I already have it in my library. Look, it says play, view and download, or view in library download. I already have it. Psh. I should have known. I should have known. Can't we have nice things? Okay, so many people love the rain in the background. I didn't even really realize you could hear that much of it. Paige said, I wish we had piata in Michigan. I've never had it, but it sounds so delicious. I bet you do have piata in Michigan. Let's look it up and see. Piata, Michigan. Ohio. Piata locations. Let's look and see. Kentucky, Ohio, Indianapolis, Indiana, Carmel, Indiana, Ohio, North Carolina, Ohio. God, tons in Ohio. Oh my God, I'm not going to read all of them. Pennsylvania, few in Pennsylvania. North Carolina, Texas, Minnesota, Texas, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, Ohio. I guess there aren't any in Michigan. Who knew? Now I do. Okay, hey Peter, can't wait to hear your review on the end of Manifest and Grace and Frankie. I'm so sad to see both of them go. I still believe Schitt's Creek could have went a couple more seasons. I love to hear your reviews of these programs and others. Did you watch the last episode for Housewives in New Jersey? Tell all. No, I did not watch it. I don't watch New Jersey, so I don't know anything about it, but I wish I did because it looks like it was really good. And apparently, Melissa is being fired from the show and will not be coming back next season because there's no way to have her and Teresa on the show at the same time, is what they're saying. I don't know if that's true or not. But I will say, I don't know what to tell you about the end of Grace and Frankie because I haven't watched it. Manifest, I did talk about on here when I finished it. I absolutely loved the end of Manifest. It reminded me a lot of the end of Lost. I thought it was beautifully, beautifully, beautifully done. And I was ugly crying at the end of it. Okay. Oh, and Schitt's Creek, I was just telling Mel this yesterday. It's like, I feel like with Schitt's Creek, I can't remember. They came out, if you've never seen this and you've watched Schitt's Creek, I think it's on Netflix. There is an extra episode that they do. Well, it's not an extra episode of the show, but it's like an hour-long episode where they show them filming, like the last day of filming, and them reading like all of the stuff and all this kind of stuff. Like the last script and all this kind of stuff, and saying goodbye, and Eugene Levy crying at Alexis's last like scene in the diner and things like that. It's really fantastic. But I think that they came out and they said, I think there were 6 or 7 seasons of it, I'm not really sure. I think they came out and said that they're like, all good things must come to an end, and was their attitude, and it was just such a great time to end the show like on an up note. And so it, like, the show didn't get a lot of attention like the first 2 seasons it was out, and then it was like the 3rd season was when it like really started picking up, I think. They show this in that final episode where they go back and they show everything. It was like the first 2 seasons, like, they didn't get a lot of attention. And it was like the 3rd season that like it got like really a lot of traction. And so by the 6th or 7th season was when it was like on a really high note, and they wanted to end it on a high note instead of going out on like a low note, and like just really like, you know, keeping it alive for as long as they possibly could. So that's why they kind of did that. But I agree. I think Schitt's Creek could have gone on many more seasons. I'm hoping that they kind of do some reunions and things like that. I'm wondering when this package is going to come. It's 3:42, and the package still has not come. Angela said, we haven't had a my grandma went to prison update in so long unless I missed it. No, we haven't. My cousin and I kind of just stopped doing all that. And these are the comments that I was reading yesterday, so I think I made it through most of the comments. Wait, here it is. Here's another one that came out since I've been vlogging 44 minutes ago from Lisa. Peter, I did the TikTok drink, and then your video trying the drink showed up, and I started LOL, literally. I love your stories. They keep me sane while I'm going through all my oral surgeries. Oh, please take care of yourself. I cannot wait to eat solid food again. And I'm really craving Pradas so bad, but I have to wait. Do you mean Piatas? Maybe you mean Piatas, not Pradas. Keep sharing because you make my heart smile. Oh, and since you stuck around, how about one more I love you? Happy birthday, Lena. No, that Troy's supposed to say that in every single vlog. He says it. But thank you. I appreciate it, Lisa. And I hope that you're feeling much better from your oral surgeries. Aww. Well, that was fun. Now I'm just going to sit here on my front porch and fan myself with my neighbors and drink my iced coffee. My neighbor came home and then she was talking to some people, but then I didn't see her out in the garden. She's probably not watering her plants because it rained so much the other day. I'm hoping that like tomorrow, or well, not tomorrow because it's supposed to be cold again tomorrow, but when it starts getting warm again, that these plants like pick up and they start perking up. Although I will tell you what is so weird was that my purple flowers over here, I watered them the other day, and like you should as a good flower owner, and then it rained and they like burst with color. Like literally overnight, it was like all these flowers started blooming. And so, I mean, I guess I could just turn around and show you, but can you see it's like all like purple and pink down there at the bottom? Looks so pretty, I think. And it wasn't really doing that. It was like, that was where people were telling me I should turn that one around because it wasn't like they weren't growing a lot in the back, but now they're growing a lot in the back. So there she is.
Here I is.
I was just wondering where you were.
Well, I had no therapy.
How'd therapy go?
Good.
Did you do your exercises?
I got a lot of massage.
You got a deep massage?
Yeah.
What do you have in that bag?
Gladiola bulb.
Some gladiola bulbs. It looks like you have your lunch. Looks like you're cooking out tonight. What are you having for dinner?
Cornish hen.
Cornish tins with what?
Cornish bacon. With roasted vegetables.
Roasted vegetables.
And stovetop stuff.
And stovetop stuffing?
Yep.
Are you having cherry pie?
No, I had that Saturday night.
Now, do you just buy a piece at a time, or do you buy like a whole pie?
Just a piece at a time.
Where do you get it from?
My sugar pie at
The farmer's market? They swear by this place called My Sugar. What's it called? My Sugar Pie?
my sugar pie.
My Sugar Pie, and it's at the farmer's market, and they like swear by it. What other kind of pies do they have?
Oh gosh, all kinds of pie.
Pecan pie?
I don't know. Not looking for pecan pie this time of year, so I don't know.
I love pecan pie and sugar cream pie.
Yeah.
I haven't seen your husband in so many days, except for if he's driving by. He must be hiding out in the house.
Yeah. Just haven't been vegging out in the house.
Vegging out. This weather's cold.
Yes, it is. Either I'm running out of places.
She's running out of places to plant things, she said. Where are you going to plant those gladiola bulbs? She's like holding up the bag. Where are you going to plant those gladiola bulbs?
I don't know, but I've got to take some around back. I've got more I've got to plant around back.
She's got the whole backyard too. I'll have to show that actually because it's really pretty. And she's got these things that I love that are like these water things. I thought they were bird feeders, and I said, are those bird feeders or like these glass things? And she goes, no, those are water things for the pollinators. And I go, pollinators? And she goes, yeah, like butterflies and bees and stuff. And she's like, if they want to drink water, because then they like, you know, they're like pollinating. Do you see like the sun just come out and like went right over me? She's like, then they're like pollinating like the flowers and everything like that. And she's like, this is where they get a little bit of a drink. And so she's got it through there. But in the backyard, when I went over there last year, she's like a butterfly thing. It's like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like this like butterfly like water thing. And like she had like 3 or 4 butterflies like just like hanging out on this thing. It was so pretty. I don't even know really what that is. I wonder how long one waits on the front porch for a package to be delivered. It's almost an hour over the time that they were supposed to be here now. Maybe I'll put a post-it note on the door and say, knock on the door. That way I can hear them when they come. I don't miss them, because sometimes their doorbell, I don't hear it at all inside. When we had Boo Radley and Tucker and Pee-Pee, like if the doorbell went off, well, this was when we used to have just the doorbell over there, and Alex put this Ring thing up there now, which is actually a lot louder. But when we just had that doorbell, when it would go off, I couldn't hear it either. And, oh my God, the dogs would start barking like crazy, and they would, like, they would go like crazy if the doorbell like rang. I'm gonna pull you guys closer. Boo Radley doesn't do that anymore. It kind of makes me sad, honestly. I think Boo Radley's hearing is not as great as it used to be, because sometimes like he'll be like downstairs like eating his dinner, or he'll be like upstairs like on the bed, and Alex will come home. And it used to be when Alex would pull like right in front of the street, like if you've watched my vlog enough, when Alex has come home, you can hear like there's a distinct sound to his car when he pulls up, and then he opens the garage. Well, as soon as his car would pull up or the garage door would open, Boo Radley would come running because he could hear him. Now he doesn't do that, and it kind of makes me a little bit sad. Like every once in a while he will. If he's standing if he's standing in here somewhere and he hears the garage door open, then he kind of starts going crazy and oh, a little bit and stuff like that. But typically he doesn't hear it, and it kind of makes me sad a little bit, because it's like, I don't know if his hearing is getting worse as he's getting older and things like that, or what's going on, but yeah, I worry about the little guy. And then like I'll be like, Boo Radley, your dad is home, and he'll come running and downstairs or upstairs from wherever he is, and he'll like look, and then Alex will open the door and I'll be like, there's your dad, and I'll be like, he goes crazy. He loves seeing Alex when Alex comes home. And then Alex like picks him up and he carries him all over the house like he's his little baby. So Joelle from San Diego sent me, in my PO unboxing, if you haven't watched it on my Peter Does Stuff channel, she sent me this sea otter stuffed animal. And I've been trying to get Boo Radley to fall in love with it. We named it Olive the Sea Otter, is what we named her. And I was trying to come up with an O name. Maybe Otto the Sea Otter, but I don't like that so much. Olive the Sea Otter, like Olive the other reindeer. And so I set her on the bed. And then Boo Radley goes up and he like sniffs her and he's like, he like turns away. He's like not sure what he thinks of her. It's real cute. But I'm trying to get him to like cuddle with her and stuff like that. So thank you, Joelle, for sending that to me. Joelle lives in San Diego, and she says she's got a lot of work stuff going on. But the last time that I was there, like we didn't get to meet up, and I said that because she's vegan, and so I said that hopefully the next time that I come out there that maybe we can meet up. And she was like, yeah, I want to take you to some vegetarian restaurants and whatever, so maybe that can happen when I'm out there, because we're going to be out there, I think, for an extended period of time for Fufu's wedding. I mean, we're not just going out there for like 2 days or something out there. I think we're staying for like more days than that. I don't know how long. Alex is texting me. Let's see what he's texting me. I'm gonna kill him. He said, I was wrong. LOL. Package is arriving tomorrow. I'm sitting out here for almost 3 hours. He'll feel real bad. Well, I got to vlog for a long time today, so that was a good thing that came from all this. It looks like it might start raining. I might have to wear my heated vest a little bit today. It's so funny because, you know, like when it's been like all winter and then it's like 60 feels like short weather and it's super warm and all that kind of stuff, right? But then when it's like been like 85, 90 and then it's like 65 outside, that seems like really cold and I need my heated vest on. What is he saying to me? Hold on a second. He feels real sorry about it, but he also said that he scheduled Boo Radley a vet appointment for just to do an updated blood work and stuff like that on him. So that's later this week. Yeah, so Boo Radley, he does not like going to the vet. That's not his favorite thing. But we like to keep up on all that stuff and make sure the little guy is okay. He has like this fatty tissue like underneath, like on his belly, and it's not like getting any bigger or anything. And if you like push it or like touch it, like it doesn't hurt him at all. He acts like he could care less. And the vet has told us, she's like, well, I can drain it if it bothers you guys. She was like, but I would suggest just leaving it how it is. And she's like, I can tell you it's not like, because when I first saw it, I was like, I freaked. I thought it was like a tumor or something like that. And because it's bigger, you know. It's not just like this small little thing, and I freaked out at first, and I was like, oh my god, it's like a tumor. She's like, it's not a tumor. She's like, it's just like fatty cells. She's like, he's totally fine. A lot of dogs have them. She's like, a lot of animals have them. And I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my God, what is going on? Blah, 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 whatever. And he's had it now for probably 2 years. And, but like, it still like freaks me out. I'm always like worried about it. I'm always like, oh, what is going on? Is little Boo Radley gonna be okay? And everything like that. But I guess as dogs get older, they get like fatty cells sometimes, and you know, like in different areas of their body and things like that. So maybe, I don't know, but like you can like push it and rub it and it doesn't bother him at all. He just kind of looks at you like, what? So anyway, well, all right. Now that I don't have to sit out here on this front porch and wait anymore for this package, which I guess I'll be waiting tomorrow, so maybe I'll vlog tomorrow waiting for this package out here. Oh, and here's my neighbor coming across the street. He's coming to get the mail. So I'm going to get off here, and I hope that you guys are having a magically amazing Monday and a fantastic beginning to your week. Magically amazing beginning to your week. And if, no, he's not coming to get the mail. He's coming to do his grilling. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. And remember these 3 very important things. 1, you can start your day over. Nope. Is that it? That's 2, isn't it? No, 2's practice random. 1, you can start your day over whenever you want, or your week over if you need to. 2, practice random acts of kindness, but shh, don't tell anyone. And 3, most importantly, make sure that you reach out to somebody and let them know how much they mean to you. Like I always say, you might be putting a smile on their face, you might be cheering them up, you might be making their day, you might be making them happier. You just don't know. And also, be kinder to one another, love one another a little bit more, and most importantly, be kinder and love yourselves a little bit more, because it all starts with you. And I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love you. Oh, and for those that need to hear it, and those that want to hear it, and those that just happen to stick around, one more I love you. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Love you. Happy birthday, Lena.